How many times have you heard that one? You know, that advice that gets a nod, but inside you're just cringing over how badly you messed up. But what if the real advice isn't to learn from failure, but to actually get better at it? What if that gut-wrenching, embarrassing, painful feeling is actually your brain doing something incredible? Your brain has a powerful network that kicks into high gear when you fail, and it's the secret to how we learn, adapt, and ultimately achieve our biggest goals. This isn't just a self-help platitude, it's fundamental to your neurobiology. So today, we're breaking down the surprising science of how your brain is hardwired to turn setbacks into strengths, and lines give you a practical guide to consciously use this superpower to become more resilient and a whole lot smarter. Let's just be real for a second. Failure hurts. It's more than just knowing you missed the mark. It's a physical, emotional experience. Think about the last time a project at work just flopped. A job interview that was followed by deafening silence. A personal goal that seems to get further away every time you reach for it. What's the first thing you feel? For most of us, it's that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. Your shoulders slump, a wave of heat crawls up your neck, and your mind starts replaying the moment on a loop, picking apart everything you should have done differently. Then comes the aftershock. Embarrassment, shame, frustration, and that nagging voice of self-doubt that whispers you're not good enough. This reaction isn't a personal weakness. It's a survival instinct hardwired into your DNA. For our ancestors, getting kicked out of the tribe for failing at a hunt was a death sentence. So your brain, in its brilliant attempt to keep you safe, learned to treat social and performance failures like life or death threats. Neuroscientists have even seen in brain scans that the pathways that activate when we experience social rejection are the very same ones that light up when we feel physical pain. In a very real sense, failure feels like an injury. We're conditioned from childhood to see failure as the opposite of success. In school, you get a big red F, not a fantastic learning opportunity sticker. In sports, you either win or you lose. Society glorifies the win and hides the loss and shame. We're taught that success is a straight line and any detour is a sign of weakness. But this whole idea is built on a massive misunderstanding of how we actually grow. The agitation, the high cost of fearing failure, this deep-seated fear of failure does more than just sting in the moment. It quietly poisons our potential. When we're terrified of failing, we don't take risks. We stick to the safe path, the easy goal, the predictable outcome. This fear builds invisible walls around our lives, trapping us in a tiny comfort zone where real growth is impossible. Our world is haunted by the ghosts of what could have been. The businesses never launched, the books never written, the skills never mastered, all because the fear of falling flat was stronger than the dream. One of the sneakiest ways this fear shows up is perfectionism. We tell ourselves we just have high standards, but really, perfectionism is just fear in a fancy outfit. It's a shield we use to avoid being judged. And it's a master of self-sabotage, leading to procrastination, burnout, and constant anxiety. This fear also traps us in what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls a fixed mindset. This is the belief that our intelligence and talents are set in stone. If you believe your abilities are fixed, then every challenge becomes a final exam on your worth, and every failure is a verdict that you've hit your limit. You're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. You start avoiding challenges and giving up easily because what's the point? Imagine if J.K. Rowling believed the verdict of the first publisher who rejected Harry Potter. Or the second or the 12th. Her manuscript was rejected over a dozen times. If he had let each rejection confirm a fear that she wasn't a good enough writer, one of the most beloved worlds ever created would simply not exist. The real cost of fearing failure isn't the pain of one setback. It's the quiet tragedy of a life half-lived. The reframe what's really happening in your brain. So, what is really going on in your brain when you faceplant? It feels like a system crash, but what if I told you it's not a bug? It's a feature, a built-in program designed for one thing: growth. To get this, we need to look at dopamine, a brain region called the anterior cingulate cortex, and the magic of neuroplasticity. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, but it's more like the prediction chemical. Your brain is always predicting what will happen. When the outcome is better than you predicted, you get a dopamine hit. It feels good and tells your brain, hey, do that again. But here's where it gets cool. When you expect a win and you get a loss, you experience a reward prediction error. Your baseline dopamine level suddenly drops. That dip feels awful. It's that sinking feeling of disappointment, but it's also a blaring alarm. It's a signal to your brain that says, warning, your map of the world is wrong. Pay attention. That alarm is sent straight to your brain's error detection hub, the anterior cingulate cortex, or ACC. You can think of the ACC as your brain's O circuit. It becomes highly active when it notices a mismatch between what you expected and what actually happened. It's a neurological red flag that forces your brain to stop and analyze what went wrong. This is the golden moment. That dopamine dip and the ACC's alarm create a unique brain state. Your brain releases chemicals like epinephrine and acetylcholine, which jack up your alertness and focus. Suddenly, your brain is laser-focused on the problem, saying, something here is important and needs to be fixed. I need to be ready to learn. This state of high alert is the gateway to neuroplasticity, your brain's superpower to literally rewire itself. Failure primes your brain for change. It's like when your GPS says, recalculating ... double quotes, it doesn't scream, you failed. It just finds a new route. The error signal, the wrong turn, is essential for finding the right way. Failure is your brain's recalculating signal. This is why a growth mindset is so powerful. Studies show that people who believe their abilities can be developed show greater ACC activity after a mistake. Their brains are literally paying more attention to the error, allowing them to fix it. Those with a fixed mindset tend to tune the mistake out because it feels like a threat, and they miss the perfect opportunity for their brain to rewire and learn. So that painful feeling of failure, it's not a verdict, it's a trigger. It's the starting gun for learning, and it's the mechanism evolution designed to make us smarter and stronger. By the way, if you're finding this reframe of failure valuable, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It's a small click, but it tells the algorithm that this kind of content is useful, and it really helps us continue making it for you. The solve: how to become a master of failure so our brains are wired to learn from mistakes. Great, but here's the catch: this system isn't on autopilot. Your brain can ring the alarm bell, but you have to be the one to answer the call. If you just wallow in the shame, you waste that perfect neurochemical state for learning. So, how do you get better at failing? Here are 4 science-backed strategies. Strategy 1: the reframe ritual. The moment you feel that sting of failure, instead of letting your mind spiral, you need to grab the steering wheel. Create a ritual. Take a deep breath and ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What was I trying to do? 2. What actually happened? 3. What's the lesson in the gap between those two? This simple act shifts you out of your emotional, fight-or-flight brain and into your logical, analytical brain. You're telling your brain exactly what to focus on, making the whole rewiring process more efficient. It isn't about ignoring the pain, it's about channeling its energy. Strategy 2: embrace deliberate failure. This is about failing on purpose, but in a controlled way. Think of Thomas Edison and the light bulb. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." He wasn't just stumbling around. Each failure was an experiment, a data point that brought him one step closer. You can apply this by breaking big goals into small tests. Instead of starting a business, your goal is testing 3 marketing messages this week. Failure is no longer a catastrophe, it's just data. Young scientist Jack Andraka was rejected by 199 labs before one finally accepted his proposal for a new cancer test. He treated each rejection as an iteration. Number 197 said no. On to 198. This process is the engine of all innovation. Strategy 3. Practice active self-compassion. This might sound a little soft, but it is neurologically critical. Our default is often harsh self-criticism. I'm so stupid. This just amplifies the threat response, shutting down the learning centers that failure is trying to activate. Self-compassion is the antidote. It means treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give a friend. You wouldn't tell your friend they were worthless. You'd say, "That's tough. It's okay to be disappointed." What can we learn for next time? Research shows that self-compassion is linked with greater resilience and a stronger motivation to learn from mistakes. It soothes your brain's threat response, which allows your thinking brain to come online and do its job. Strategy 4. Build your failure support network. We're taught to hide our failures. Post the wins, bury the losses. This is a massive mistake. Sharing your failures with trusted friends or mentors is a superpower. First, it normalizes the experience. Hearing that people you respect have also failed robs your own failure of its shame. Second, you get outside eyes on the problem. Walt Disney's first animation studio went bankrupt, a humiliating failure. But he talked about it, learned from it, and with his brother's support moved to Hollywood and started over. Your network is your team of co-analyzers, helping you process the emotion and extract the lesson more effectively than you ever could alone. Look at Steve Jobs. Being fired from Apple was a public humiliation. But he later said that being freed from the heaviness of being successful allowed him to enter one of the most creative periods of his life, founding Next and Pixar. That failure was a necessary detour that ultimately led him back to Apple, ready to change the world. He didn't just survive failure, he leveraged it. For most of our lives, we've treated failure like the enemy. We've seen it as a mark of shame, an endpoint. But the science tells a completely different story. That gut punch of disappointment is not a punishment. It's a biological signal. It's an alarm bell shouting, "Pay attention." A learning opportunity is here. It's the trigger for neuroplasticity. It's the raw material for resilience. It is the engine of all meaningful growth. The greatest stories of triumph are almost always stories of overcoming great failure. From Oprah Winfrey being told she was unfit for television to Michael Jordan being cut from his high school basketball team, the pattern is the same. A setback is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of the comeback. The goal, then, is not to build a life where you never fail. That would be a small, sad life indeed. The goal is to get so good at failing, so masterful at extracting the lesson from the loss, that you start to welcome it. You start to see setbacks not as roadblocks, but as guardrails nudging you onto a better path. You know that every failure contains the seed of your next success. It's the setup for your next breakthrough. Now, I want to hear from you. We build resilience together by sharing our stories. What is a failure that you are now grateful for? What did it teach you that you never would have learned otherwise? Share your story in the comments below. Reading through them is one of the best ways we can all learn that falling is and the end it as how we learn to fly. Thank you for watching.